All right, let's go. Hey, this is Level Up for Equations. It helps you prepare for any assessments you might have coming up. Okay, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're a kid who just wants to do better, feel free to download these free PDFs in English or Spanish and perform them and come on back and see how you did. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, a like, and, show a little love, a little math love out there. All right, here we go. So let's solve this first equation for x. Notice I'm going to identify the variable term. So the variable term is that 13x. So I want to move that constant term to the other side of the equal symbol as that constant term. When you move a term, you always add or subtract. So the inverse operation for adding or subtracting 14 is adding 14. This goes to 0, and then I'm left with 13x on the left side. And add those up, you get 39. Okay, now we have 13x times 39. The inverse operation for multiplication is division. So then x equals 3. That's it. All right, let's do it again. Notice all I did here was switch the terms. So I put your constant term first and your variable term second, but the process is still the same. I want to move that constant term over with that constant term. Minus 19 minus 19. This goes to 0. I have 2x equals negative 30. Divide both sides by dose. And I get x equals negative 15, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Let's go. All right, let's keep going now. Okay, now sometimes we're going to run into situations where we have to perform some kind of operation before we do inverse. So for example, what I notice there is that I have distribution. So I always want to perform my distribution and combining like terms. So this is distribution. That's 8m. Positive times a negative is a negative. 24 equals 32. Okay, I got to take this negative 24 because I can't simplify this anymore. Can't simplify this. So now I'm doing inverse operations. Opposite of a minus 24 is a plus 24. Simplify. Okay, inverse operation for multiplying by 8 is dividing by 8. So m equals 7. You're done. All right, notice on this side, what we have is we have combining like terms. So that is the simplifying I have on the left-hand side. There's no simplifying on the right-hand side. So I'm referring to the equal symbol with left and right. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. Category is x equals negative 21. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. That's the inverse operation for multiplication. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1x. Negative 21 divided by negative 3 is 7. All right. Level up 1 is done. When you're done, take it to your teacher or whoever, and they will look at it, and then they will give you the next one if it's all correct. It's a great way to study for a test or a quiz. Okay, let's do another one. So I'm looking at this one. Again, I'm looking for any simplifications I can do. So what I notice is that I have combining like terms right there. Okay, this situation needs to be dealt with. That negative makes a positive. So I'm going to simplify that real quick by doing negative. That's like negative 1 times negative 1. That's a positive 1. Category is P. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and complete this combining like terms process. So P plus 4P. That's like 1P plus 4P. So that's 5P equals 58. Okay, now I'm going to do inverse operations because I can't simplify. Move that constant term over. That's the variable term because it has the letter. Simplify. So this goes to 0. 5p equals 40. Inverse operation for multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1p. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Done. Okay, notice on number 6, we have distribution. So on the left-hand side of the equal symbol, I can simplify that distribution. So negative 3 times positive 4 is negative 12, category N. Negative 3 times negative 5, right? We're distributing like so. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 5 is 15. Keep writing the rest. Okay, now what I notice is I have like terms. This term on the left and this term on the left are like. So I do not do inverse operations when they're on the same side. I combine them. Negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. Category is N. That's what makes them like. They have the same category. All right, inverse operations. Move those constants over with those constants because I can't simplify. So now I got to do inverse operations. That gives me negative 10n equals 40. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 10. Divide by negative 10. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is 1, so that's 1n. 40 divided by negative 10 is negative 4. Done. Okay, look at this one on the left. This one's tricky. Cannot simplify anything on the left-hand side, but look at here. That is distribution. So it's negative 1 times 6, negative 1 times negative 4. Start from left to right. Good math habits will promote success. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4, category A. Okay, notice on the right-hand side, we have like terms, so I have to combine them. I'm going to write my 8a minus 12. Always go from left to right with your mathematics. 14 minus 6 is 8 plus 4a. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do inverse operations. I like to try to move my variables to the left. I do it the majority of the time. Sometimes there's situations where I move it to the right, but the majority of the time I go to the left. 8 minus 4 is 4, category A. That's what makes them like. They have the same category. Minus 12 equals 8 because that goes to 0. Now I'm going to inverse operation minus 12. The inverse operation for a subtracting 12 is adding 12. That goes to 0. 4a equals 20. Here we go. Last move. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Remember, you got to do it to both sides. And a equals 5. That's right. Okay, there's a lot going on here. First thing I notice on numero ocho is that I got to distribute there and there. So I have to distribute twice. And do 14 times that and 14 times that. Negative 3 times that. Negative 3 times that. So let's do it. 14 times f is 14f. A positive times a negative is negative. 14 times 2 is 28. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times negative 6. Negative times a negative is a positive f plus 20. Okay, let's take a look. Can I simplify anything over here? Nope, I sure can't. Good job. Can I simplify anything over here? Woo, that's right. I heard you. I heard you. We have like terms. They're separated by another term, but they're still like on the same side. So as long as I'm not moving from one side of the equal symbol to the other, we're good. So 14f minus 28 equals negative 12 plus 20 is 8 plus 18f. Okay, now I got to deal with my variable terms. So notice I have variable terms there and there. So I got to go ahead and move that variable term over. So I'm going to subtract 18f. When I can, I move my variables to the left, constants to the right. 14 minus 18 for those like terms is negative 4. F minus 28 equals 8. Now I want to move those constants from there to there. Inverse operation for minus 28 is plus 28. That's negative 4f equals, let's add those up, 36. All right, now this is not minus 4 plus f, it's minus 4 or negative 4 times f. So the inverse operation for multiplication is division. So that's going to give me f is equal to positive divided by a negative is a negative. 36 divided by 4 is 9. We're done. All right, time to go to level number 3. Now we're going to get into some proportions and some fractional equations. So level up 3. I like to do my level ups on different colors. It helps me stay organized. They have to, you have to finish and complete correctly the previous level to get the next level. All right, this is a proportion. So you take this top number times that bottom number, and then you take this bottom number times that top number. All right, that's why they call it cross multiply. It creates a cross. So 6 times j is 6j. 3 times j plus 7 looks like that. So when you multiply 3 times j plus 7, you have to distribute the 3 through. So I'm going to go ahead and use distribution. 3 times j, 3 times 7, pardon me. Again, pardon me. All right, inverse operations. Inverse of plus 3j is minus 3j. 6 minus 3 is 3 equals 21. I'm going to go right here. Go ahead and divide by 3. Divide by 3. That's the inverse operation for multiplication. At this point, this should be getting easier, and that's the goal. As you keep doing it, it gets easier. Don't let number 8 scare you. It's all right. Variable term, constant term, constant term. Move this constant term over. You get 6 divided by 5. That goes to 0, equals negative 12 when you combine those. Oh, don't forget your x. All right, now I'm going to divide both sides by 6 over 5. Some people might multiply by the reciprocal. That's fine. Both ways work. Notice when you divide by a fraction, though, you got to put that in parentheses. Really important. Otherwise, your calculator will get that wrong. 6/5 divided by 6/5 is 1. When you divide something by itself, it's 1. So 1x equals, when I put this in my calculator, I'm going to end up getting negative 10. If you invert and multiply, you would also get negative 10. By the way, inverting and multiplying would look like this. And then to simplify that, you'd get negative 60 over 6. That's how I get my negative 10, right there. Okay, now you're going to check. So you're going to go to the original problem. Do not use any manipulated problem. You got to go to the original. Substitute that negative 10 in. Where you see an x, everywhere you see an x, you put a negative 10. In this case, there's only 1. Plus 10 equals negative 2. Simplify this and see what happens. So 6/5 times negative 10 is negative 12. Simplify this some more. Negative 12 plus 10 is negative 2. Negative 2 equals negative 2 is correct. That's how you know you're right. So you get to come up to me, hand me this paper, and you know what? I'm going to give you the last level, level number 4. It's a great way to study for a test. Okay. Wow, looks like we got a really big fractional equation here because it's got fractional coefficients. There's that distribution we love so much. Always work from left to right. 1/3 times 1x is 1/3 x. 1/3 times negative 18 is negative 6. You can put that in your calculator. All right, now what I notice is I don't have like terms, But what I have is I have fraction terms on both sides of the equal symbol. So I need to combine these. But I can't combine them until I do inverse operations. So to move from this side to this side, inverse. Opposite of a plus is a minus. 1/6 minus 1/3 is positive. That's negative 1/3 x. Minus 2 equals negative 6. All right, inverse operation, you're minus 2 over. So add 2 to get the constants on the same side. That goes to 0. Negative 1/3 x is equal to negative 4. You can either invert and multiply both sides, or you can divide by negative 1/3. It must go into parentheses to get that done right. And you're going to end up getting x equals negative divided by negative is a positive. And then when you invert and multiply, or when you put it in your calculator, you're going to get 12. Okay, now we're going to go to a decimal equation. Notice you got a variable term, constant, constant. There's my equal symbol. So to move from there to there, you got to do the inverse. So minus 11.4. That cancels out. 7.3m is equal to negative 21.9ers. Inverse operation for multiplication is division. This goes to 1m. This goes to a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 21.9 divided by 7.3 is 3. You're done. That was nice. Okay, let's take a look at this last one, and notice they want the final answer in decimal form. So let's make sure we follow through on that. I'm going to move my variables to the left. I see a variable term and a variable term. So I'm going to do the opposite of a minus 0.37. That's plus 0.37p plus 0.37p. Simplify that. It's 0.4p plus 3.1 equals 5. That's a constant. It has a decimal point, but it's a constant. There's no variable with it, and that's a constant. So I need to combine them, but I need to move it over to combine. So I'm going to subtract 3.1 from both sides. 0.4p is equal to, what does that equal? That's 1.9. 1.9. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 0.4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.4. And when I do so, I'm going to get, let's see, what do I get? Well, let's do the act first, I guess. Sorry, I was thinking about that. Dividing by 0.4, dividing by 0.4. Remember, we got to put it in decimal form. So I need to do 1.9 divided by 0.4. And when I do so, I get 4.75. That is my final answer. We are done. Good job, everybody. I'm proud of you. Remember to like, subscribe, and tell everyone how wonderful this is. All right? Enjoy your evening, day, whatever it happens to be. You must stay strong always. Enjoy.